Time is different when you have a chronic disease.
When I was newly diagnosed, you go through a phase of not panic, but I need to find out more information. So I went straight to the library, the research library, and pulled out the research papers and read the statement about the ongoing likely symptoms over the period of my disease. And also noted that it said average age from diagnosis to death was 30 years. I thought, great, I'm 27, I've got 30 years, that's 57. I'm now 49, and I'm sort of joking with my family, I've only got 10 years left now, that's the last 10 years. So yes, it's funny, time is quite interesting when you suddenly have a diagnosis into the future.
Well, there are various things that I have to do just in terms of keeping myself together, and so I'm much more restricted with the things that I do with my time, and so more focused on what it is I want to do and how I want to spend that time, and I guess more aware of the value of time than perhaps I was before I was diagnosed.
Okay. What do you think of the statement that time may be different when you have a chronic disease?
I think that when you talk to people with MS, maybe time is different in a way because there's a lot of uncertainty, especially like when you're in the early stages. I mean, you don't know when the next episode is going to be. You don't know what's going to happen with you. You don't know the timeline of your disease. So I think in that sense, time does become different because as a person without any disease, as far as I know, I don't have that thing in the back of my mind that any day could be a day that things are going to change again.
You've reminded me that it's different when you're first diagnosed, that level of uncertainty about the future is much more in your face, so that when you've lived with it for 15 or 20 years, you're more philosophical about it. I think it's also probably different when you're diagnosed really young and thinking about how it's going to impact on your life. I was lucky that I was sort of a little older and I'd already had children, so it didn't impact on my decision whether to have children or not. And also maybe it's different if you have relapsing remitting MS as distinct from primary progressive, which is what I have, because with relapsing remitting, every day could mean, suddenly you wake up and half of your body's paralysed. That's less likely to happen for me, and what happens is a gradual degeneration and worsening balance or whatever. So I think it's less urgent with my type of MS.
Everything takes time, and it's important not to rush things.
Yeah, things take time, and even if we discover something amazing, to bring it into the clinic is decades. And often the people we're interacting with, they don't have that time. And to make sure that we are not raising hopes in too great extent, but also not downplaying our own research, it's a really tricky bit. So time is it all takes a lot of time.
We have to make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves and try to make claims or do things that we just can't back up. So it just goes back to being diligent. But so I agree with that. We can't rush things.
It's a long-term approach really to lifestyle and treatment. But I think that my experience when I was first being investigated and diagnosed was that time is we have to get everything happening really quickly, and any time lost is detrimental.
Research takes a lot of time, and if proper time is not actually allocated for research, the proper scientific controls and stuff like that, if that doesn't happen properly, then what's going to happen is it gets pushed off, and the science actually comes out earlier than it should be, and when that happens you see failure, right? And you want to kind of prevent that from happening.
I essentially can't rush. I have to do things with more awareness, I guess, and not endanger myself by rushing.
So it's important not to rush things, to make things valid and useful and to show the research evidence behind it, but we still need outcomes. So we're always, as researchers, conflicted. We want to get things done as well with the best evidence base behind it, but we also need to get things done quickly for things like funding and publications and things. So we're sort of always restricted to trying to balance the two.
My MS is progressing, and I would love there to be some breakthrough that would slow or possibly even reverse my symptoms. So in the small picture, I can see that yes, time is of the essence. In the slightly bigger picture, you know, I would like there to be a cure or a more effective treatment were my children to develop MS, which, you know, touch wood, they haven't as yet, but I know that that is a possibility. I also understand that if you're talking about drug treatments, pharmaceutical treatments, that I want them to be properly tested. I don't want to be a guinea pig and say, oh yeah, this might be good for primary progressive MS. We're not quite sure whether it'll give you cancer, but you know. So I understand that time is, sometimes it takes time, and that's why I'm interested also in some of the trials that are going on at the moment with drugs that are already on the market for other conditions, but that may prove useful for MS.
Still very much important actually that we do things as quick as possible, but do it diligently. If you look at MS as a disease and what it does to people, then it's almost, I think, a responsibility to do your work as quick as possible, because there's so many people that depend on the results that come out of this research. So yes, we do have to hurry up, and I think that time is of the essence, but we definitely need to be diligent with what we do.
I'm aware that you know, a treatment that I'm using today may have taken sort of 10, 20, and not just in regard to MS, but yeah, across the health field, that things take a long time to come about. So.